Hi, this is Danford. We're working on a series of podcasts for DadsDivorce.com where we look at important financial issues. This podcast is dedicated to the topic of debt. It's a huge issue today for many families and obviously many divorced people. We have a question from a viewer. I'm still paying off some loans that we incurred when we were married. I could pay them faster if I reduced my 401k contributions. Is that a smart thing? We're going to talk a little bit broadly about it, and then we're going to look at some specific points, and then I'll come back and answer the question. First of all, one of the things that everybody acknowledges is that it's almost unavoidable to have debt in today's society. With the cost of things being as much as they are, houses and cars, it's almost impossible to escape life without being in debt. I mean, those numbers are just so big, and hardly anybody has enough money sitting in a bank account just to pay that all up front. Having said that, however, how wisely we use debt makes a huge difference today, and that's what we're going to talk about. One of the points that I always bring up with people when I talk about debt is that it's a double-edged sword. Some of the great fortunes of the world have been created through the wise use of debt. And a great example that comes to mind is Donald Trump. I mean, we all know how wealthy Donald Trump is and how much he's done over the years. Well, virtually all of that's been done with real estate and borrowing. That's how he's made his millions. On the other hand, most bankruptcies grow from debt of one kind or another too. So you can see it's at the extremes. You can do a lot of good things with debt if you use it wisely, but it can also ruin your financial health if you don't use it wisely. So there are a couple of three things that I like to talk about when I talk to people. The first is, and this seems like it's real intuitive, but a lot of people don't get it anyway, that's that you should use debt when you're buying things that go up in value. Think about it for a few minutes. If you borrow $100,000 to buy a $125,000 house, as you make those payments every month, two things are happening. One is that the principal amount is going down from $100,000 to $99,000 to $98,000, and eventually, if you own the house throughout the whole mortgage, to zero. At the same time that's going on, though, under usual circumstances, maybe not in the last 6 or 12 months, but under usual circumstances, the value of that house is going up as you're paying down the mortgage. That's why in history, with many families, there was a time when the value of their house was the single biggest asset that any family had. It's still true that using debt to buy things that go up in value can add serious wealth to your overall situation over time. That's why, generally speaking, buying a house using debt is a good thing. Alternatively, if you use debt to buy a new color television, okay, and we'll go back to my example that I often use about the $1,000 big screen TV. When you borrow the money for that, you owe somebody $1,000, but the value of that television set does not go up, and in fact, it drops a lot real quickly. If you had to sell a used big screen color TV, you won't get near the value out of it that you paid for it. So, in essence, you have a big debt against something that doesn't have very much value. So the first rule is if you must use debt, use it to buy things that either hold or go up in value. The second point that I like to make is that money's a commodity. Okay? When you go to buy that car or house or whatever, it doesn't care where you got the money to buy it. Okay? I'm always surprised when people tell me that, oh, I really liked my banker because he always loaned me money. Okay, well, the truth of the matter is if you're credit worthy, almost any banker will loan you money. Okay? We shouldn't feel indebted to them because they loan us money. If we're credit worthy, then we ought to be able to get money wherever we can. That being the case, then the credit terms become very important. Okay, if money is money, no matter where we get it, then the interest rate we pay becomes important. The length of time that we borrow becomes important. And my point is just shop around. You can typically find better deals and worse deals, and your job is to find better deals when it comes to money. The third point that I'd raise is that details count. You need to get the paperwork right. You don't want your name on loans for somebody else's assets. Okay, classic example of this is people who co-sign notes for, family members to buy cars, or one of the things that recurs a lot today we hear about is people who co-sign student loans. You can't, that is never discharged. I mean, even if somebody goes into bankruptcy, especially with student loans, the government will come back on anybody whose name is on that loan. Now, I'm not saying don't sign those things. I'm just saying be very, very careful about the paperwork. If you no longer are an owner of a house because of a divorce decree or anything else, get your name off the house as quick as you can. If you let somebody else drive your car and you still owe money on it or whatever, get that switched over as quick as you can. Details are very important when it comes to loans, because they will come back after the people whose names are on the loans if anything happens. So those are the 3 points that I want to make. Number 1, use debt to buy things that go up in value. Number 2, money's a commodity, get it at the cheapest and best place. And number 3, make sure that the details are taken care of. Details count. Okay, going back to the question, I'm still paying off some loans that we incurred when we were married. I could pay them faster if I reduced my 401k contributions. Is that a smart thing? My answer is that it's almost never smart to cancel your 401k contributions. When you take money out of deferral, it's gone forever. Okay, so a real simple calculation I did earlier, just assuming that you're putting $100 a month into a 401k and assuming again that you're making 8% on the money. That doesn't sound like a lot of money, but over a 20-year period of time, that money will grow to $5,500. Okay, you won't get that $5,500 back if you suspend those payments now. Okay, it's almost always a mistake. And then there's a second danger, which is not just that I stop making the payments today and I'll start them up again later on, but if I stop making the deferrals today, maybe I'll never start making them up again. And that's a huge issue. The same calculation, $1,200. Now this time though, it's not $1,200 once, it's $1,200 a year for 20 years at 8%, grows to almost $55,000. Okay, your situation 20 years down the road will be in much better shape if you don't make those deferrals today. That's a key point. Now, all of us have obligations. You have to pay your loans. I want you to pay your loans. Okay, that's the first priority. But if it's an issue of either paying the loans or the 401k, what I would do is try to find some moderation in there. I wouldn't try to cancel the whole deferral because it'll cost you too much in the long run. Okay, that's it for today. That's the discussion on debt. Good luck.